What up, Bulls Nation? Peck here. We got a live CHGO Bulls pod coming up for y'all right around the corner. We're going to talk a bit more today about what Billy Donovan had to say after their embarrassing effort and loss to the Wizards last night, and talk a bit more about Billy holding players accountable versus being that nice guy players coach that we all know him to be. Plus, initial voting returns for NBA All-Star 2025 are in as of this morning. No Zach LaVine or Vooch on the top 10 of those voting boards. And, of course, we'll talk a little anticipation of D. Rose night 2 nights away. That's all next. Coming up. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome in to CHGO Bulls Podcast. Coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck. That is Big Day. Bow. BAWL Sports.
Bow.
4-time champ. Man in the middle, Uncle Will Perdue. Will_Perdue 32. Back in the building. Will the GOAT Gottlieb. Perfectly coiffed. Will_Gottlieb. Queen of the controls, the one and only Katie Duffy. We got the whole gang back together, y'all.
Huzzah.
Feels good.
Feels nice.
Can I just make a statement?
Oh, already out the gate.
Uncle
Let's
Will's
go.
statement out the gate.
Hot rocks coming at you.
So make sure when you want to ask me a question, that you use my name, because I'll probably be sitting here staring at the quaff the whole time.
That's fair. It's very fair.
Well, he's GOAT and you're Uncle Will.
I'm usually
I'm also Will the Gottlieb.
Yeah, that's coined by me.
That is coined by me, Dave.
He is Will the Gottlieb.
Honestly, I've had a lot of nicknames. That's my favorite one.
Thank
Will
you,
the
Will.
Gottlieb.
I appreciate that.
I'm usually not this close to the man.
Correct.
So, occasionally.
We haven't been on set together in a while.
I know.
Now you know what
I'm glad to have you back.
But I'm just kind of looking over at the hair.
Yeah.
I kind of did a double take.
You got good hair on both sides. You
Yeah.
had a great stash over
That
there.
is unnatural.
No
Well, I feel
chemicals,
like
nothing.
We did that on purpose because we can't have that much handsomeness on set, like on a regular basis, or this place would get a little crazy. That's why we keep them separate. We keep the Wills separate.
2 times the handsome. That's
The
what
Wills
you're saying?
or the Will? The Will, what?
Yeah, that.
Will what?
Exactly that. Happy New Year, Will Perdue.
Yeah. Happy New Year to all. To all a good night.
See,
No, we're
that'd be
just
good.
getting started. We got a lot of
Yeah.
stuff to talk about on today's show. Let's dive into what we were kind of talking about a little bit on last night's postgame, in that Billy Donovan basically said a few different things after that effort and that loss, that it wasn't acceptable,
Okay.
and that he took partial ownership of it as far as the lack of preparedness that we talked about, because the Bulls looked flat. They played
did.
no defense.
They did.
And, they were sloppy. They committed 20 turnovers. That's a bad night. Katie, do you have some of these quotes that we can throw up for Billy? No worries. Okay. Well, so basically, here is what he had to say. We quite honestly had no right, or didn't even have the right to win, in my opinion. In terms of a coaching perspective, from a playing perspective, we didn't play to a level or to an identity that we've tried to do. That was the discouraging part, because I felt like we weren't making shots, and then it bled into some other things. We've talked about that before. Then he followed up saying, you always look at the day before when you could do what you could do differently from a coaching perspective in terms of how you go through the day, as far as the preparation, the readiness, the film, end quote. He did also clarify that the Bulls canceled their pre-scheduled Wednesday shoot-around, a normal game day shoot-around, and did not practice Tuesday when they arrived in D.C. And Perdue, I was talking to you earlier today, and you said you didn't want to hear it as far as that excuse of why this team did not come out ready to play on Wednesday night.
Hot rocks.
So what do you make of these comments from Billy that is kind of taking partial ownership of this, saying, hey, from a coaching perspective, I could have done better to get them ready to play. But I mean, Giddey was one of a handful of players who also came out and said, we got to do better. So how do you explain an effort like that as somebody who played in the league for so long?
And that's what I struggle with, quite honestly, is, okay, I'm trying to ascertain.
Oh,
Great verb.
What is the identity of this team? Okay, I mean, I think I have the answer, and I'm curious to get your guys' opinions on this and those that are watching today. I mean, I think what probably bothers me the most is we're talking about a lot of the same points that we've talked about for the last 3 years. Okay? And the biggest thing is that if I was playing right now, I would love Billy Donovan as my coach because he's putting up a smokescreen for the players. Okay? And that's what player-friendly coaches do, right? They always have their players' backs. But occasionally, you got to let the players answer the questions of why something specific happened and not necessarily, take their blame. There's probably, for that game, there's blame to go across. I think part of it is Billy stepping up and saying, listen, I probably should not have canceled practice. Probably should have been a little more serious. Man, by the way, those shoes are really sweet.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
I'm used to that crap you normally wear.
damn.
You referring to my Birks?
Jesus Christ. Man, the hot
I probably went a little too hard on that one.
rock Perdue out here, man.
But
Goodness.
What can I say?
it's I wish that this team had an identity that they can lean on. Okay? And I think when I go back to that statement of these are the things that we've been talking about over the last 4 years is how do we identify, okay, we're still asking the question, who's the leader of this team? All right. Last year, we thought the leader or assumed the leader was DeMar, but still play in game and had these type of Washington games last year. Okay. Caruso, we thought was one of the leaders.
Certainly a vocal leader on defense.
Yes, but still had these type of games last year. So you're asking the question, are we void of leadership? Are we void of people following the leaders, sticking to the game plan? What is it that continues to happen that we have these games like this, okay? And I understand there are schedule losses. I agree with that statement 100%. But this isn't a scheduled loss.
No.
Okay, you had
Only a schedule loss if they all went out and partied on New Year's Eve in D.C.
Well, I think they take it more seriously than that. And, okay, I want to give Giddey a little bit of credit that we've got to do better. But they've already had, even though I think this is probably their worst game of the year, they've already had one or two of these games this year. Okay? But you can't honestly tell me that the same team that just beat Boston, that just beat Milwaukee, showed up in Washington.
Well, but I mean, you're talking about what this team's identity is and who's leading it. I think that's something that they have continued to prove. And Zach LaVine has said it, at least once a month since he's been here for 7 years. We're capable of beating anybody. We're also capable of losing to anybody.
So it's a really fantastic quote.
Because it's true. It's right.
Okay.
I think, to me, it's not so much like a leadership thing. I do think Billy is a good leader. I do think in the past, Caruso and DeMar have been really good leaders. I think Kobe has stepped up and become a better leader. To me, it's like a talent question. And I'm not saying that to disparage any of the players on the team. Obviously, we've talked about the strides that Kobe has made. Zach getting back to all-star form and Vooch as well. We'll talk more about that in the second part of the show. But the league is telling you they think that Zach is good, but they don't think that he is as good as what he's being paid, right? Which means that he's not a number 1 or number 2 on a championship caliber team. So maybe he's a number 3, but at that price point, they can't afford to take him on. So that should tell you if he's your best player, where you are as a group. And I think, to me, it's until you find that guy, until you find the Jordan or the Rose, you're just kind of wasting time.
Yeah, but also there's something, and I apologize for taking so long to get to my point,
Take
but
all your time, man.
at some point, Billy's got to stop taking the heat for these guys. Okay.
Well, he did say from a coaching perspective, from a playing perspective, we did not play to a level or to an identity that we've tried to do. So at least the way I interpret that, it sounded like he was putting accountability on his own shoulders and on also his players for not playing well enough.
No, but he also stepped up and says, part of this is my fault because I canceled shoot around. Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
You want him to light a little bit more of a fire.
Yeah. So, you had the same type of start against Charlotte. Same.
Yeah, they had a season low 15-point quarter in the first quarter against Charlotte.
And I understand you turned things around and then you almost coughed it up and then you won in overtime. But that game right there, the Charlotte game, was basically Zach LaVine's statement in a nutshell. Because you were good, you were bad, you were bad, you're good. This team has too much talent to be losing to the Washington Wizards, even on a bad night. Okay? It just does. And that's just my opinion, because you still have Kobe. Zach played. Yeah, Zach had 32, correct?
Yep.
All right, but I asked the question when I was talking to some people today, why is Vooch shooting 9 threes last night? Why is he not down in the post banging and getting easy buckets, going to the free throw line? We're going to have this
discussion. He's having a career year behind the three-point line.
I get it, okay? But at the same time, you have to identify where your bread is buttered in a game. Okay, what did they shoot overall from behind the three last night?
I don't know, not like around 30% maybe. Yeah. I think it was like 14 to 48, something like that.
Okay, but at some point, isn't that the definition of insanity? Keep doing the same thing, expecting a change? If you sometimes you identify, and yeah, guys can get hot. But most of the time, if you're starting to see a trend here and be like, we're just not really hitting our shots. A, B, they're not guarding us from behind the arc. We got to change up the game plan. We got to start attacking the rim. We got to pick up the pace. We got to get paint touches, but instead of passing up layups and mid-range jumpers, why aren't we now dumping the ball off into Vooch and cutting and rolling? It's kind of interesting. I was working with my nephew this morning, and we were talking about how he's got these kids on his team. He's in 6th grade. About how these guys call themselves three-point shooters. I said, and what do they normally shoot from the three-point line? He goes, they make 2 out of 10. And I said, okay, that's great. But let's identify what your shooting range is. Do I think that my nephew can knock down threes? Yeah, but he can probably make 1 or 2 out of 10. But I said, we're going to shoot shots from this range, this range, this range, this range. Your shooting range is a shot that you can make at least 50% of the time. I understand Vooch is having a career year from behind the arc, 40.
I mean, it was like 45%
he's like around 45
last
right
I checked.
Yeah,
he's dipped a bit. He's in like a little mini slump right now. But.
And he needs to be credited because he really worked hard on that. But at the same time, I know he's a polished scorer in the post. He's got great footwork, up and unders, right? He just knows how to score. He's a big body. So start running plays, get him off the line and put him down into the post. I know that clogs up the lane and makes things more difficult for Zach to get into the mid-range or get to the rim. But at some point, you got to identify what's the best way for us to beat our opponent. I understand what the game plan was going in, but there's a chance to change it. And as we figure out with my nephew, we're shooting, your range is 15 and in. So while your teammate is back here chucking up 10 threes and making 2 of them and contributing 6 points, how about you get into that range where you can knock down 50% of the shots and say you shoot 10 mid-range jumpers or layups and you make half of them? Well, guess what? You contributed 10 points. He contributed 6. Who's having a more productive game?
I mean, Vooch had a bad shooting night. It happens. I don't think Vooch, Bulls fans get frustrated sometimes on a bad shooting night. They're like, why the heck, as you just asked, Perdue, is Vooch shooting 9 threes and making 1 or 2 of them? On the season, he's averaging 4.8 attempts behind the arc, and he's shooting them at 44%. And he's averaging 14.8 total field goal attempts. So for every 5 threes he takes tonight, he takes 10 shots inside the arc. I would say that's a good balance for a big man who's shooting as well as he is from the perimeter. And on certain nights, yeah, maybe you change it up. And that, like, is that something that Billy, on a night like last night, needs to go to Vooch and say, hey, quit shooting those threes because you're not making them, go inside? Is that on Billy?
But that's also, again, to me, goes full circle about leadership. And I don't mean, this team is void of leadership, but somebody on this team needs to step up and be like, hey, Vooch, we're going to change up. whether it's Billy, whether it's Kobe, whether it's somebody else, be like, hey, we got to change up. This isn't working. All right. We got to start attacking from inside out instead of outside in, and let's increase our chances to win. And that's not difficult.
Yeah.
It's just that the part about that scares a lot of guys is that that's not the thing to do if you want to be liked. That's the thing you do if you're more concerned about respect than being liked.
Well, respect versus being liked. Let's put a pin in that because that goes into this kind of coach that Billy is and whether or not that's the right kind of coach for this Bulls youth movement moving forward. Hit that like button while we share some ads. We will come back on the other side and continue this conversation, plus All-Star Talk, D. Rose Night Talk, still to come. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Empire Today. With Empire, you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring, so of course they have copycats amongst their wannabe competitors, but Empire cannot be beaten on quality, on service, or on speed. So all their hopeful competitors try to do is advertise low-quality products that Empire doesn't even bother to carry. Empire won't promise the lowest prices because anybody that does promise the lowest prices is just putting crap flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in their own home, and that's the truth. Also, be sure to check out their incredible virtual floor designer, a great way to see how new flooring options would look in any space in your home. It's easy, just snap a picture and instantly see how different types of floors look with your furniture, the wall, the paints of your walls, your wallpaper, any kind of decor, the art hanging on your walls. And it is just simple as that with the virtual floor designer. They also service their own warranties at Empire, so if any issues do arise, just call Empire. They service all warranties themselves. No tracking down third parties or manufacturers' phone numbers. Schedule your free in-home estimate today. All CHGO Bulls listeners can receive a $350 discount when they use promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/CHGO for details. 588-2300. Kitty doesn't have a mic. Go!
Empire Today.
Well done.
I thought you were going to do that, and I really wanted to do the Katie and just be like, Empire Today.
Empire Today.
But
Like how you call it
I
the
just,
Katie.
I just,
Well done.
it just came out.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
so
I'm going to
it
tell you
wasn't
right
good,
now,
but
to me is what's really frightening is when Katie leans around that monitor
I
to
know,
look
it
at you.
scares me every time. I'm always in trouble with her.
Terrified. All I see is smiles and sunshine.
It's like the typewriting teacher that used to walk around with a ruler.
Oh yeah. Oh, you took it old school. First of all, the kids are like, "What is typewriting?
And what's
what
a
are you
ruler?
talking about? And what's a ruler?"
She used to walk around with a ruler, and if you look down at the keyboard and she happened to be within striking distance, whap!
Striking distance. Oh man, I'm in striking distance because what time is it, man? Peck? It's ready to go.
That's another Katie.
Dude, you see- so this is the new Marty B hat.
Yeah.
Uncle Will just graciously gifted me one today.
Yes,
We
all
notice it
got
says
one.
game time under the brim.
Oh, that would have been better if you took it off the show with that.
It is game time.
Yeah. Shout out,
Shout out to
Martellus
these BMO
Bennett, man.
hats. And shout out to Marty
Shout out
B.
to Will Perdue.
Shout out to Will Perdue.
Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for these events easier than ever. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Who wants to do that? Curation makes it easier to find better value for tickets to sports, concerts, comedy, theater, Katie's one-woman show, anything. You can find these tickets, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be silent, too.
Catching strays here.
She can't respond. Hey, lowest price guarantee. Sorry, I can't hear you. You're not. Lowest price guarantee. Game time ticket coverage.
Number one
Of course, they
fan.
got the all-in pricing. And of course, the Matt Peck and Big Dave favorite, the seat views. We need the views from the seat. When we go to Katie's all one-woman show, where can we sit? We need to sit on the end.
Front row center.
Front row sitting there. I'm in the back. I got sweet. I need to know that. Got to know where the beverages are going to be, bathrooms, all of that, man.
Dessert
you
cart?
can do that with the seat views. That's what's going to bring Will out. This dessert cart is in there. Take the guess or got to buy those tickets though with Game Time, ladies and gentlemen. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code CHGO. Get yourself $20 off your first purchase.
Terms apply. Terms apply.
I said CHGO. Get yourself $20 off your first purchase.
Terms apply. Terms apply.
Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. Because Will Perdue, what time is it?
Game time.
There it is.
All right.
All right, so
Rolling
hold
along.
on. Two things.
Two things.
Oh, I like how you do that. Go ahead.
So shouldn't we mention Saturday, considering you just did the ticket read?
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't we mention that there's still a few
Speaking of
select?
tickets to things, yeah. I was going to do it when we touched on the Derrick stuff at the end of the show, but we can do it now.
I think we
Do it
need
your way though.
no, we need to mention it more than once because
So we just had a great meeting, figured out a bunch of logistics for our Derrick Rose night takeover, the top shelf takeover that is happening.
I'm just trying to help.
The night, we appreciate it. The night after tomorrow, Uncle Will be there.
He will.
Hanging out in the suite. Big Dave, myself, Katie's going to be there.
The goat will be there.
Obviously, Will the Go Gottlieb will be there doing his reporting duties and also hanging out with us. And shout out to everybody who already has their ticket. We have 5 left. If you haven't gotten a ticket to D-Rose night and are regretting that decision, maybe you got yourself a nice Christmas bonus that you weren't expecting. Maybe Grandma and Grandpa sent you a nice holiday check. And you're saying, what do I spend this money on? And you're afraid of the FOMO of not going to Derrick Rose night and seeing this night, that it will be a historic night for Chicago sports for years and decades to come. Why don't you do it and do it in style with us? Because we have that limited number left. It gets you ticket entry to our very own CHGO suite in the United Center. Doors open at 5. We will be hanging out in the atrium around, somewhere between 5:30. We will arrive hanging out, checking out all the D-Rose exhibit stuff they have set up there. Even if you don't have a takeover ticket, come meet up with us in the atrium, say hi, say what's up. And then all the cool people, we will head up to our very own suite where you will have CHGO swag bags waiting for you.
Swag.
All you can drink, all you can eat food waiting for you, including that dessert cart that will come by.
Italian beefs,
hot dogs,
Italian beef,
chicken tendies, delicious salad options, and of course all those delicious snacks that you get in the suite.
Fruit.
But
Fruit.
The most important thing
for you
is
fruit eaters.
dessert cart.
Dessert cart. The dessert cart. And then we are going to be doing postgame from our suite for all of you people hanging out there with us. That will be fun.
I'm so excited for postgame in a suite. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
It's going to feel like the ultimate flex.
Yes.
So come
Good
hang
talk
out.
hotline in real life. It's going to be great.
Okay, so there's that one thing. Act fast. If you're on the fence and you're saying, man, I wish I wanted to go, you still can. And CHGO Diehards, you get a hefty discount on this all city top shelf takeover. That was one. Perdue, you said you had 2 things?
yes. So this is a little unknown secret for a lot of people. My mom passed up on her 15 minutes of fame.
Okay.
So if you remember back in the day when you guys were little tykes, MJ's mom did the Empire commercial.
Okay.
I do know about that.
Yeah.
So once that contract ran out, they actually asked my mother to do it. And she said she couldn't do it.
Didn't want to?
Did not want to.
Wow.
I said, Mom, it's your opportunity.
Didn't want the attention?
You're going to follow up Michael's mother.
Yeah. Were you ready
Big
to
shoes to fill.
Well, no, Michael didn't do it, and it wasn't about me. It was about the moms.
Right.
Wasn't there an ad or like some video where they had Michael's mom throwing him alley-oops and it was like really edited clips that like,
oh
Oh yeah, it was.
She
like
did the
a
over-the-head
6'10"
pass.
dude in a bad wig.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Was that the sub?
with a mustache?
Was that the sub commercial?
It may have been the sub commercial that Scotty did.
Ooh, Scotty,
Mr. Submarine.
Let's have a party.
Legendary.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, let's have a party.
But no, she.
He never spoke in a commercial.
They reached out to my agent, and then my agent, who obviously had a relationship, called my mom, and she's like, "I'll think about it." And then she's like, "I don't want to do it. I'm nervous."
Who did they end up going with? Do you know?
I don't think they ended up going with anybody.
Dang, she shut it
said
down.
we can't get
Damn.
Mama Perdue.
Can't
We're
get
just
my
not
Purdue,
doing
ain't
it.
doing nothing. All right.
So either that or maybe she asked for too much money. I'm not sure.
Amari in the comments just said they couldn't afford her. Yeah. Oh man. Well, maybe I mean, there's like the classic Empire commercial. There's now with like the animated Empire, Grandpa Empire.
Yeah,
we need to talk to Empire and maybe get us on the commercial.
I'm sure. Honestly,
down to do
that would be like a
Yeah,
lifetime achievement award as a kid who was watching Empire commercials
Or
every
we can
day growing up.
get some of our own animated characters on the Empire commercial. Ooh.
There you
Now you're
go.
talking.
Then we just do a voiceover.
We have made it then at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's-
everybody else be quiet. Will Perdue, keep talking.
Cartoon Peck and Big Dave coming to install your new floor.
No, what was the one Seinfeld where they the carpet company was a cult.
Him,
Man, I forgot about that
Sunrise. Him, you went after him. George's boss.
He was so upset. Oh, George.
Oh, Lordy. Okay, let's get back on track. Going back to this Billy conversation, because I think it's really interesting. And we have Bulls fans in our comments.
What you miss out on when you're not here?
Yeah.
I miss a lot.
Yeah.
It's not the same. That's why I'm excited for the suite.
There you go, man. Good vibes.
5.
We know that we have Bulls fans in our comments a lot, including last night game, saying, "Hey, this one's on Billy. What the heck? How did Billy not make any adjustments? How did he not do this? This is all Billy's fault." And then some who feel less that way. But on an ugly loss like that, you always talk about where fingers are pointed. And we've talked about Billy's job security and the fact that I don't think it's changed at all from when this season started, or really since he took the job 4.5 years ago. But when a team is trying to steer in a new direction, as the Bulls theoretically are with this youth movement, and he's talked even recently, Callie had a piece where he got Billy to offer some thoughts on why Modest isn't getting more minutes, the rookie in this youth movement, and Billy's continued to chirp on that whole earning minutes thing, and Billy clearly is out there trying to win, and he's using his vets to get these wins. Dave, where do you land on this? Is Billy the right kind of coach when Perdue's talking about protecting your players versus holding them accountable? When you're talking about a young team that's trying to go in a new direction and those young players getting better, when we clearly see Billy getting upset with young guys making mistakes and even sometimes giving them quick hooks for making those mistakes.
Yeah. I've had this discussion for some years now about Billy. When they hired him, I always thought he was the right coach for them because they were trying to win. Billy is not the right coach if you're trying to start over. It's just not – it's not his thing, at least from the years I've seen him and how he does it. He's better – he's more of a player's coach. And for me, players' coaches are better when you're on a veteran team. And when you have a veteran team and guys that have been in the league for quite a while, I think a player's coach is exactly a great thing to have and what you need. For a younger team, I think a more disciplined coach is better. And again, this is just how I do it. Obviously, it could be other ways. You know what I mean? There's no one way to win, all right? It just doesn't exist. But I feel like for this team and what they kind of need, I would like to see more discipline and structure with that team. And Billy's style, I feel, is greater for those veteran guys, which is kind of what you see, him leaning towards veterans, going with veterans and saying, hey, we want you out there on the floor. Young guy makes a mistake, like you said, gets the quick hook and things like that. He's coaching like a coach who's trying to make the playoffs. That's exactly what you kind of do. And I don't think we think the Bulls are in that position to be making those playoffs, but that's what Billy is going to coach like. I have no problem with that. There has to also be a veteran there in place who is the leader of that team. And I'm going back to Oklahoma City when I'm saying this. When you look at what they had previously there, even if you're looking at Kevin Durant and then he left, okay, well then obviously the clear leader is going to be Russell Westbrook and he's there. Well, then he leaves. Obviously the clear leader is going to be CP3 when he's there. When Billy kind of got here, I think you guys mentioned it about DeMar DeRozan being that leader and also, Caruso kind of being that guy because somebody's got to be the extension of the coach when they're out there on the floor. I also threw Lonzo Ball in there for that first year as far as being the leader for the Chicago Bulls team as they were trying to win and move forward. Now, I don't know who it is, and I think they play like that also, not knowing who the leader of this squad is right now. I don't think that's Billy's fault. I just think that's Billy's style. And I don't think that style kind of fits when you're trying to start over. And yeah, I just think that's the position that he's in. Billy is always going to coach to win, which is what you should do. But when you're trying to build these guys up and you're trying to, show guys how to play the game the right way and play correctly, they're going to need time on the floor to do those things. You're going to have that already implemented in your game if Billy's going to put you out there. And Ayo Dosunmu is the easiest point to make on that. So, yeah, it's just I don't like a player's coach with a younger team. I think it fits much better with a veteran team who already knows what they need to be doing out there.
I get that. I think Billy has what I've come to really appreciate about him is that he can do it in multiple different ways. We've seen him be like the defensive coach that put together a top 5 defense 2 years ago. We've seen him now transition from that in a slow-paced offense to being the fastest-paced team in the league, shooting the second fewest threes last year to taking the second most this year. Like, I think his flexibility has been really great. I think that the kind of argument against him as a players coach, I think that does apply more to like the veteran players on the team. Like, I think it was difficult for him to like say no to DeMar, not like reporting that or anything, but I think trying to figure out a way to accommodate DeMar, that was different than figuring out a way to accommodate Modest.
And
right
DeMar's
now.
on the record several times saying, I love Billy. He let me do whatever I want.
Right.
So there is that.
So I think that's a part of it. But to me, like, all this keeps coming back to the front office and management. It's like, if you want to put together a team that's going to win, you got to put a coach out there who wants to win, and you got to put a team out there who's capable of doing it. And the fact that they just haven't really committed to one or the other, that gives Billy leeway, whether it's Billy's choice or not, to say, I don't want to get Modest 25 minutes tonight. I want to try to win tonight. Because those two things, you can't have it both ways. So he's picking what he wants to do. And that tells me that either that's what the front office is telling him to do, or that the front office isn't telling him to do anything and he's doing what he wants to do. And either way, that to me is a problem from the top down, where you have to set an organizational direction and that everything can fall in line. So I think like leadership from a player's perspective, from a coach's perspective, all that matters. But when you have competing agendas from the top down, you're just going to be butting heads. And that's why like all the great organizations, you think about like the Warriors during their dynasty, it was like ownership, front office, head coach, star player, secondary player, everybody was in line. And like, I just don't know if that's what's happening with the Bulls. Like, it seems like they want to win and they're just not good enough, but then why wouldn't they put together a team that was more equipped to win? So then it makes you think, well, why aren't they developing the young players if they don't have a team that's equipped to win? And it's like all these just competing questions and agendas. And I think that's just how you end up kind of caught in this scenario where you have nights where you look really good because you credit the coaching staff for the way that they've overhauled the offense, and you credit the players for buying into that. But then they also have nights where, yeah, they're more talented than the Wizards, but because there's just all of this other stuff going on, you're just going to have bad nights. And to me, it's like there needs to be an organizational directive from the very top down, from ownership down to the 15th man. And I just don't know that there is a clear direction right now. And maybe there is. Maybe it's just that they want to remain competitive, but there's other competing things there where it's like, well, then why did you trade Caruso for Giddey? Why did you not, bring in other veteran players instead of giving Dalen Terry and Julian Phillips minutes? Like, I want to see those guys develop, but if the goal is to win, then those guys shouldn't be getting as many minutes. It should be going to Torrey Craig and Javon Carter.
Yeah, clearly. Like, I think it's been established what Billy wants, like, or who he is, again. And I think you're dead on as far as a disconnect between the front office and Billy, just as far as styles are concerned. And this is just not knowing anything. This is just literally looking at what I'm seeing.
Yeah, and it's like not a secret that they're like the 10th seed right now. Like, I don't think it's not like
at all
some big thing that we have to like protect. I mean, that's where they are. That's where they have been. Like, they gotta, if you want to not be stuck in the middle, you got to pick a lane.
Yeah, you have to. And again, I think they want it all and don't want to give up anything for it or make a decision on it. So Billy's going to do what he does. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to try to win this game. I will say that when the team comes out like they did against Washington, I put that stuff on the coach, not having your team prepared or ready to win. And again, the players should always be prepared and ready to win. But when you don't come out like that against the Wizards, like I really do look at the coach when stuff like that happens. You can't control if shots go in. Like, you can't do that, but you can control how your team comes out every night. It's one of the reasons people praise Tibbs so much is because how your team came out every single night, you were going to be in for a fight. Yep. And that's because that was Tibbs' MO. And that's how he did. It was like that playing with Phil Jackson. You knew what kind of game was going to happen when you got out there on the floor. Now, of course, they had the right talent to enforce it.
Right.
That is absolutely factual. They had the right talent to go out there and force it. And I think, again, that's what a disconnect is. And what Will keeps saying is, well, the talent isn't there. You don't have this on here. There's a disconnect happening right here. So Billy is showing you how he wants to play. We don't know how the Bulls want to move forward as far as an organization. So Billy is the only person I think right now actually putting a foot forward and saying, this is what we have to be, and this is exactly what I have to do. Is it working, and do I want to see it? Well, you're 10th seed. You know what I mean? It's not like that, and it's not on him. That's just the talent that you have.
Well, Perdue, if the Bulls actually do manage to move another step or two forward in this youth movement, i.e., they find a trade partner for Zach LaVine, they find a trade partner for Vooch, they find a trade partner for Lonzo, or move on from him at the end of this season, which is his expiring deal, and they do earnestly shift more towards a youth movement, do you think that Billy Donovan can be the kind of coach that is a good fit for such a project for the organization? Because we know that he can be tough on young players. We know that he tends to lean towards favoring vets over young guys. Is that a job where he could thrive? Is that a job that he would want?
I think it is.
That question.
Okay, but who is his Chris Paul?
Yeah.
Okay, because listen, regardless of what you think about Chris Paul, and I always haven't thought the highest of him.
Dirty SOB.
But, the one thing that Shea talks about is the things that he learned from Chris Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Chris Paul also made it very clear to Shea that, at the end of games, ball goes in my hands.
Right, yeah.
Okay. But Shea says, I wouldn't be the player I am now without Chris Paul. But I also think that, quite honestly, Billy wouldn't necessarily be the coach he is without Chris Paul.
Sure.
Because I think that, it's interesting that, like, I played with Doc Rivers, coach. Played with Steve Kerr, coach.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys talk about the things they learned from other players during their playing days because of the knowledge that these other players had. So I can only imagine what Billy says coming from college to the NBA and how he leaned on Chris Paul to help not only him, but help him with the younger players.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, if Billy decides, let's just say, as you said, the Bulls do accomplish all that and check all those boxes, I know because, Arturis loves Billy, Arturis would want Billy to be here. But then who's that player that bridges that gap?
Yeah.
Okay, is it possibly Kobe? Because now then Kobe would be going into his 7th year?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Or is there somebody else maybe that you bring in that is a proven leader that's obviously older, has maybe played in an all-star game or two, that every single player in that locker room would show the utmost respect to and listen to exactly what – they may not listen to everything that Billy says. They're not hanging on every word, but they would with that individual player. I think about, when I was playing on those championship teams, Michael wasn't necessarily a vocal leader, right? He led in different ways, but probably one of the most vocal guys in some of those championship years was Bill Cartwright. Doesn't really talk a lot, but he seems to, seize the opportunity when necessary. I remember watching Billy after a game we lost, and I forgot who it was against, but we're in that tiny locker room of the old stadium, and he's standing up in front of guys crying because he's so pissed off because we just blew a golden opportunity in a game. And he talked about wasting opportunities and, how small the window is to really have a chance to win a championship. And he's just got, and it's not because he's sad, but it's just, you could see the frustration oozing out of his pores and with tears streaming down his cheek because that's how aggravated he is, because he identifies how good this team is. Mm-hmm. And now he's at a point where he feels like that maybe what Phil is saying is falling on deaf ears. So he felt it was necessary to step up and garner everybody's attention and basically said, listen here, you MFers, this is not happening on my watch. And then you start thinking about, how good he really was when he came in the league, but because of injuries and this, that, and the other, he was robbed of that opportunity on some really good teams. And now this could be his last opportunity, and he's not letting it go by the wayside. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't just because of Michael. It was because of the pieces that Krause put together, but guys stepping up at the right time, whether it's leading on the court with their voice, whatever it may be, that, kind of helped push us over the edge. But it was different players at different times.
Let me ask you this, though. Like, if I feel like to me, when you tell that story, it's like it works because of what you said, that you guys knew how good you could be, that there was a championship window. If you were playing on that team, maybe without Michael and Scotty, does that sort of leadership have the same effect, or do you need to be competing or capable of competing at that level for that really to take hold? Because to me, it's like I said, I mean, the Bulls they're not close to that in terms of talent right now. And it's just it's so hard for me to.
There is some of that, but also there's a culture that's developed, because I also say this too. I've been on a 20-62 team.
Mm-hmm.
That was a hard season. But I used to say that was one of my more enjoyable seasons but I've had to rephrase that a little bit. I did not sleep a lot that year. It's hard when you get back to the hotel or you get back to your house and you just think about, just the opportunities and how difficult this league is. But it's kind of interesting. And a lot of this starts with, the organization, but also with Pop and the coaching staff. When we had Paul Pressey and Dave Cowens and Hank Egan.
Cowens, wow.
We went 20-62. We were just bad. Everybody talks about a lack of talent. I mean, there were times when I looked around that locker room, we had more CBA guys than NBA guys, right? But the one thing I could always say, outside of seriously 2, maybe 3 games, and of those 3 games, Pop lit into our ass. The other 79, guys played their asses off. I didn't question their effort, their preparation, their focus. I knew these guys played hard because we just pushed, a winning team that was going to be in the postseason to the late in the fourth quarter before they really, locked it away. We were always within striking distance.
Right.
I mean, we were getting the utmost compliments, unbeknownst to the other team, when during free throws, their hands are on their knees and they're looking at us and they go, "Come on, guys, man, stop."
Mm-hmm.
Throw in the towel.
Just stop. We were up 12. We're sitting on the bench. You guys go on an 8-0 run, and now the coach is putting us back in. I already had ice bags on my knees. Cut the crap,
Crap.
But that was like the utmost confidence because this team refused to give up. And now part of it was because we had so many CBA guys, they played like their hair was on fire and their life depended on them winning that game.
Mm.
Because they're just like, this is my opportunity, right? And they were smart enough to realize it's not just my opportunity with the Spurs, but it was my opportunity with 29 other teams to possibly get a quick look here or there, right? Because I'm getting this opportunity to play. So, I agree with you in a certain sense because there is some confusion with these guys in this locker room, whether they want to admit it or not. Because at the beginning of media day, we were talking about this earlier this afternoon. When your general manager says we're reshaping, those guys are intelligent enough to know that means they're rebuilding. So what does that mean when you have guys like Vooch and Zach and Kobe and Io and guys that are quality NBA players, right? What does that mean to those guys? They become confused because they're like, okay, do you not want us to win? Do you want us to win? And that wears on you. It really does.
When you don't pick a lane, yeah.
Because, as you said, are we in the left lane passing cars, kicking ass? Are we in the right lane with the 4-ways on, driving 50 like grandma? What are we doing here, right?
Grandma.
So, and it seems like Billy all season long has been kind of stuck in the middle as the head coach of what he's focusing on.
Well, I can promise you that Billy wants to win because these losses go on his record.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's coaching to win, and he's also like, okay, Dalen, get out there for some run. Okay, Julian, get out there for some run. Okay, Matas, go play 8-10 minutes, maybe 12. On some nights when they've been shorthanded with some of their vet players, the young guys get more. But it's like he's trying to do both.
Yeah. And I also think he understands it's the 82-game season too. So a lot of the vets that he have can't, balls to the wall every single game.
Right.
And stuff like that. So I think that plays into it as well. I don't think you're wrong, but I think that plays into it as well.
The poll Katie put up as far as like who do you want leading this team on the floor alongside Billy Donovan, and I think the options were like Zach Vooch, Kobe, Zach Vooch, Lonzo, or someone else, and what is leading the poll is someone else. So who are the leaders of this team? We still don't know. We got to take one more quick break here on the back end. We'll come back and take a look at the early returns, first returns on All-Star voting that do not feature Zach and Vooch. That's coming up next. Hit the like.
Slap people in the face.
Today's show brought to you by Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Our friends at Sunnyside are here to help you elevate your winter. Doldrums are here, y'all. It's January. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. Their crazy selection includes over 100 different strains to choose from, offering easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. They've got spots as far south as Champaign and as far north as South Beloit. Just don't cross that border in Wisconsin. That's where the evil people live. Stop in the store nearest you for expert guidance from their staff and select from quality lines like Cresco and Florical. And now, for a limited time only, you got to check out the Good News Island Vibes options available in disposable vapes, 510 carts, and live resin gummies. Good News Island Vibes for next level staycations, destination relaxation, or puff paradise. Maybe pick up some of Mindy Siegel's award-winning chocolates the next time you roll through Sunnyside. Nothing brightens up a winter day like some delicious chocolates. You can get them too by visiting sunnyside.shop for Bright Buys every day, including 50% off. That's 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Just use promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Again, promo code HICHGO to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright Buys every day. Only for 21 over and Illinois Med card holders.
Katie don't have a mic.
She does not.
She can't, say stuff. Like
she does have a mic on her desk. It's just not functioning right now.
Yeah, it's just not functioning and doing things right now. So she's saying things that we can't understand. So it's simply like we just never understood.
She never understood.
Never got it. Never understood it. Just like Shady Rays. Why? Why does it cost so much money to look so damn cool? Shady Rays said they're going to do something about that. So get ready for the season ahead with quality shades that are built to last. Our friend at Shady Rays has got you covered with those premium polarized shades that will not, I repeat, they will not break the bank. Shady Rays, that independent sunglasses company offering that world-class product that's rated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're off the team, Will. 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames. They've got crystal clear optics, making them your perfect choice for your outdoor. And as this gentleman over here with the Will Perdue shoes on says, your indoor adventiones. Goat. Slide. Yes.
I was going to see if my mic would hold them up, but it didn't work.
Well, it probably would have if you didn't drop them.
So now we know why.
Now we know why he's Will the Goat.
He's a writer.
Yes. They have bunches to choose from. So you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. And they probably got a style of your favorite teams. Also, if you don't love your shades, I like to call it the Matte Peck Protection Plan, ladies and gentlemen. There goes that hat. It's really cool. He just tossed that joint. Let's say
new one.
Brand new Will Perdue gave him that crisp hat.
That was crisp.
And that's how angry he could be sometimes. He tosses the hat, might be some shades on it. He tosses it. The shades will go splat, crack, and then Matt will go, oh, drat. But then he understands he could send that right back in to Shady Rays. Worry-free within 30 days. Bow. Shades right back on the face of the mustache gentleman. There's no risk when you shop, and their team always has your back with that personal and fast support. So, exclusively for the listeners out there, Shady Rays is giving away their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com. Use the code CHGO for 35% off those premium polarized shades. Try for yourself. The shades that are rated 5 stars, over 300,000 people, because Shady Rays, y'all, the Rays are just, so shady. Oh, shout out Will the Gottlieb. Let's go.
What comment?
How does it
feel to sit in between the Blues Brothers?
Wait,
who's Jake and who's Elwood, Goat?
Great question.
Tell me.
I'm about to say, has Will seen the Blues Brothers? That was going to be my question.
Which Will? Goat?
Go. I know
I would
this one.
assume- I would
I
assume-
already know.
I would assume Uncle Will
I
has
know
seen
Purdue
OG
has.
Blues
You
Brothers.
got to remember the Blues Brothers used to perform for all the Bulls games.
Yes,
This
exactly.
is true. That is a flex.
That, you know, and Bears games too. They
What a
were
time.
the pinnacle for a while. Have you seen the OG Blues Brothers movie
I've never
with
seen it,
Belushi
no.
and Aykroyd?
Mm,
No.
Oh my God, go
It's all right.
get out of here!
See? Premium polarized shades. Snap.
Chicago classic.
It is.
I'm familiar with it. I just haven't watched it.
I'm not going to ask Katie. I'm just going to assume that's a no. Yeah.
Get out of here! All right, then
You
I'm
knew
Jake
that.
and Elwood. Until you watch the movie, I am both of those icons.
I'm Cab Calloway.
Accurate.
Like, for real.
Dude has the most swag in that movie.
Woo. Give
Minnie
out
the
white.
Butcher?
Oh, my God. Killed it, dog. In the white suit. Hit it. You remember that? Yeah, Will caught it.
Uncle
yeah.
Will could be John Candy. Orange Whip.
Orange Whip. Orange Whip. That's right. I was just getting ready to say.
Oh, lordy.
Oh, man.
All right, so we wanted to touch on this. First, All-Star voting returns came out today, courtesy of NBA PR.
Oh.
Katie, if you will, there you go. There's Western Conference out over on the left, East on the right. Focusing on the East, in the front court, starting with the most votes received, obviously, no surprise, Giannis is atop that list, followed by Jason Tatum, Karl Anthony Towns, Paolo Banchero, Jaylen Brown, Jimmy Buckets, Franz Wagner, Embiid, Paul George, and Evan Mobley. Among the guards in the East, I told y'all he would get a lot of votes, even though the Hornets are crap. LaMelo Ball, number one
No doubt.
among East guards in the first return of voting. Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard, Brunson, Trey Young, Cade Cunningham, Maxey, Jordan Poole, Tyler Hero, and Derrick White. You'll notice I did not say Zach LaVine or Nikola Vucevic's name among those 20. Gentlemen, I don't think that this should be a surprise. We have talked a little bit before with the caliber of seasons that Zach and Vuce are having, that if they have an outside shot at making an all-star team this year, it will be as a coach's
Coach's pick.
reserve selection.
Mhm.
Because there's not a lot of people
Excuse me.
watching these Bulls games.
Mhm.
I think younger fans have favorite players more so than favorite teams, and none of these players that the Bulls have, whether they be Zach, Vuce, or anyone else, are like flashy players that are attracting younger NBA fans who actually go out and vote on things like All-Star. So this is not ruling out, and this is the first of a handful of returns before the official All-Star teams are named. But I mean, I think this should have been expected.
Yeah.
Maybe Zach sneaks in to the 10th spot among East guards, but I don't see that any surprise about Zach or Vuce failing to get above those 10 names at either front court or guard positions.
No,
Anybody surprised?
no, not shocked at all. I think you just said everything right there. I think we all agreed that when Vuce makes it in, it will definitely be on the coach. It'll be a coach's decision that he'll get in there. And again, the fan votes also. You know what I mean? So there's a reason LaMelo's number one. It's definitely not because they're watching Charlotte Hornet basketball. It's because they love LaMelo.
Young fans love LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, that's it. It's really that simple. But I am happy for Cade Cunningham getting some love in here. He definitely deserves it. He's been great for that team. Also have for Evan Mobley getting on this list as well. So it just lets you know who the fans are looking at and who they recognize as, a player that they like. Not so much who's on the best team, but just players that they like, that they would like to see play.
And I think, a lot of times you say, well, the Bulls haven't won enough games, so maybe they can't get an all-star. But I think you see that, Jordan Poole's on there. The Wizards, obviously they beat the Bulls last night, but they're the second worst record in the league. And then I think also it's sometimes it's hard for the younger players to have that breakout and overtake the guys who have already done it before. But you're seeing Paolo and Franz on there and Evan Mobley. I don't know. I just think whether it's the Bulls fan base or just the NBA fan base in general not being as excited about the guys, not saying that they haven't performed at that level, because I think they have, but I think it tells you more about the interest and what's going on with this team more so than whether those guys are playing up to that level. Now, I will say the fans recognize when a guy like Franz Wagner has a breakout season, he deserves to be on this list.
Sure.
He may be an injury exclusion or something like that, but the way he's played this year, he has broken out, and people know that. People recognize it. And so you would think maybe they would see that with Vuce and with Zach too. But I think it says a lot about just the state of the Bulls team right now. They're just not exciting. They are not a team that people are interested in, and I think that shows when you're talking about the fan vote. Now, I'm not saying they won't get in because I think, like we talked about, the coaches will have something to say about that, and they have and deserve that respect from the coaches. But I think from the general fans of the NBA, that's kind of my sense of why you're not seeing them on this list.
That's the key word, I think, Will, is excitement. Like, they just aren't excited about it. Because when DeMar DeRozan was here, he was always on this list. And then you would see Zach LaVine followed, maybe a little bit on this list, because they were excited, and those guys were playing an exciting brand of basketball.
Yeah.
And now, right now, it's just not really that's going on, that guys are just, gravitating to.
I'm curious what you think, Perdue, because Ecobee in the comments asked, did Joel Embiid play enough games? And while that is a new criteria for making All-NBA selections and season-long awards, I don't think that exists for fans voting for All-Star and the 50% of the vote that counts from fans, because Joel Embiid has played 11 games so far.
Yeah,
and
I don't think
Sixers are also a team that is at the bottom half of the Eastern Conference standing. So, like, somebody who played in an era that was more about you play all 82 if you can play all 82, and less so injury management, load management, all this crap. Y'all know how I feel about that. Like, do you think that should have an impact on who's representing at All-Star Weekend?
Yes. I mean, listen, Embiid is one of the best players in the league. We know that. But if he's unfortunately missed a lot of games, there's probably somebody else that's more deserving. Right? And that's the thing. It was kind of interesting. I remember when Karl Malone was playing, there was a year where he just basically said, I'm not going to the All-Star game. You're like, oh, okay, we'll see. All of a sudden, where'd you see Karl Malone? He was at the All-Star game. David Stern made a little phone call. It was, yes, sir, I'll be there. Because that's one of the marquee events, right? Yeah. I can promise you there's a lot of guys in the league that would just prefer not to go to the All-Star game. But there's also a lot of guys that go every year because guess what they got in their contract? A little incentive clause that pays them more money.
Right.
Little bit.
And so
there's money to get there, but not to perform well in it.
Yeah.
As we've talked about.
So obviously, as we all will agree upon, we got to do something about the product when they get there.
Yeah.
But it's just, there's a lot of guys, quite honestly, that would prefer to not go. They'd love to have that week off.
Stop voting for Jimmy Butler.
Seriously. He's sixth.
He's sixth. Stop voting for this dude. He don't want to be there. Like, let him go chill, bro.
I don't think he wants to be in Miami either.
No, he does not. He does not. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Will. I'm sorry.
So, but I just listen. I mean, what was that 1 year? 4 guys from the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah,
including Kyle Korver.
Yes,
Bulls legend,
legendary.
So, man, Katie, that's harsh. Why would you say that?
You're a dork. Dang.
I know. You see what I have to deal with?
This is what happens when we take her microphone away.
You know what I mean?
She's going to get her abuse
passes
in.
And accusing me of dropping.
Yeah,
and
she's going to get her abuse in. It's going to come, man.
One way or another.
Jeez.
Yeah,
okay.
You can fight back, Will.
That kind of stopped me in my tracks right there.
He's 7 feet.
Still an outside shot of Zach or Vooch getting a coach's selection. Also, it depends on how they perform in these next few weeks leading up to the All-Star teams being finalized and the All-Star coaches making those reserve selections. Vooch has been on a bit of a slump. Zach's put up some big, games recently that could have an impact. Injury reserves if necessary, adding to that list of reserve All-Stars. We'll see. But hey, Bulls fans, if you feel like Zach and Vooch are worthy, then go to the NBA app or the NBA website, sign into your NBA account, and cast your votes. That's going to do it for those of you watching on our fast channels. We appreciate that. If you want to catch the bonus material, just head to allchgo.com. As we wrap up here, another reminder that the day after tomorrow is Derrick Rose night.
Woo!
We're all going to be there in the suite. We do have a very limited number of tickets still available. If you are regretting your initial decision to not go to this epic Chicago night of sports history, you can do it in the most stylish of ways and come hang out with us in a suite. Diehards get a sizable discount. Come hang out. All you can eat, all you can drink. Dessert cart. Post game from the suite, which will be a lot of fun. Y'all can hang out there with us. Dessert cart yet again. All of us hanging out. And your fellow Bulls fans, obviously the swag bag when you show up.
Dessert cart?
Dessert cart? Did I say dessert cart? 4 times? Dessert cart?
There is no limit on the dessert cart, by the way.
No, there is no limit. For those of you who did get yourself some tickets to the Top Shelf Takeover, you will have your ticket to our suite emailed to you tomorrow by our event staff, along with instructions on entry and all that jazz. Doors open at 5 Central. We are going to plan to show up at the atrium somewhere around between 5:15 and 5:30 after we pre-tape pregame here. Then we'll head over to the UC. Come find us in the atrium. We'll wander around the atrium, see all the awesome Derrick Rose stuff that they have displayed, and then the coolest of the cool people will join us as we make our way up to our suite, where we will imbibe in food and drink, each other's company, and watch the festivities unfold.
Be like Gladiator.
That post game could be really interesting with all that free booze.
He's speaking for himself.
Purdue Unfiltered.
Tune in is what he's saying.
That's right.
Tune in.
So I did want to. Are we about done here?
Just about done. You got something left on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Mr. Peck and I talked on New Year's Eve.
Flex.
I'm curious what you thought about your evening.
I was actually talking to our guy Cody from Cubs about this earlier today. Shout out Cody. I did have fun. I was dragged out by my group of friends to a bar on New Year's Eve.
Oh.
My vote was, can we all just stay in and hang out at someone's house? Yeah, so we were at Howl at the Moon in River North.
Nice.
Like a bunch of young people, but we are not young people. It was fine. It was fun. We got a bunch of tables, so we didn't have to deal with coat check. I got to sit down the whole time. We had our own server who was very attentive and did her job wonderfully. So yeah, I knocked back some drinks. I hung out with my friends. We listened to some. It's sort of like request karaoke of their live band that goes and plays there.
Oh,
Did you request a song?
I did, and my one regret of the night was not anything about being there. It was that they decided not to play my requested song.
Oh,
you know why they didn't play it, right?
Is it because they didn't know how to play "I'll Make a Man Out of You" from the Mulan soundtrack? Because that's what I requested.
Did they
How
tell
is
you?
that not in your wheelhouse?
Did they tell you that they didn't know how to play that?
No. Well, it's you just write them down on a slip of paper like request, and you go, and then they put them in a bucket or whatever, and you bring them to the people who are playing, the musicians.
Yeah, they were.
So I don't even know if they saw mine because there were lots of people there because it was a loud crowded bar on New Year's Eve.
That's fair.
Okay,
But
hold on.
if they saw mine and chose not to play it, then I would be salty about that.
Okay, hold on a second. I really have to enlighten this guy.
Damn.
Do you know how you get him to play your song?
Put some money on it.
Tip
That
them?
is correct.
Or like tape
I don't want to hear that.
tape some cash. I already paid a cover to get into the bar and get a seat at a table
See what I mean?
and some drink tickets, which is something I am very morally opposed to in general for going out on New Year's Eve.
Is paying.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're gonna go out, you
can we just go get a couple of 30 racks from the bodega and I'll hang out? Like shout out to my buddy Dale and his wife Liz. We were hanging out doing a little pre-gaming at their place, and I was like, we have a full beer fridge. Dale made some delicious eats. We got a foosball table. Like, why are we leaving? Why are we leaving to go to some loud crowded bar with a bunch of strangers?
But you did say you had a good time.
I did. But I
So
also
here-
the whole night was like, is it midnight yet?
Why
Is
are
it
you
midnight yet?
agitated that you had a good time?
So I want to. I'll
been
leave
better.
it with this, because if I remember correctly, and they probably still do it. Did you scream out the words in between when they sang the song? You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille. Did they play that song?
Not that I can recall. No,
They play that a lot.
they do.
Yeah.
I mean, like, obviously a lot of the classics were there.
You picked
Like,
a fine time to leave me, Lucille. Then you're supposed to scream a couple things from the audience.
Come on, Will Perdue with them vocals. Let's
No,
go.
it was like Journey, Mr. Brightside, like
Mr.
like
Brightside.
the
Man.
bar hits that are playing. I'm like, okay, I've heard all these songs a million times.
Yeah.
Give me some Disney soundtrack. Like,
So
come on.
wait a minute. You put your song request in, and
The
they sing
fishbowl.
the song.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not like
then
I
everybody
wanna go
around
do
it sings
karaoke.
with it.
You just
I'm not paying
it's like
for that.
you're making requests like a wedding band at a
Yeah,
wedding
yeah,
reception, but you just write them down on slips of paper and
If it was me coming up on stage and doing it, then yeah, I happily pay. For
Oh, you
that.
can get up there if you want.
Oh, you can go sing.
Yeah, you can go sit
Oh,
on the
well, then,
piano
yeah.
if you want.
I'll put some money in on that for sure. Yeah.
No. If you want to, they'll let you come up and sit on the piano and make a fool of yourself like everybody.
Yeah, no. I mean,
Sure.
I'm jealous of what Purdue told me his New Year's Eve plans were because his better half was working. So it was like hanging out at home with the dog, watching some college hoops, and eating a frozen pizza. And I was like, that sounds incredible.
We'll end the show on this.
Okay.
I promise you this is the absolute truth. Okay? You want to know what he was exactly right. I was kind of catching up, because I haven't been on the show for a while, and we were talking about a few things, and what are you doing? What are you doing? And I'm just like, yep. It's kind of unfortunately my wife has to work, so I'm hanging with the dog. Watching. I'm just doing my thing. I'm just very low key. But I can promise you at exactly 12 o'clock, I was bending over picking up some dog poop.
Hey. That's always how you want to ring in the new year.
That is the absolute truth, because I took the dog out at 11:55, right? Mm-hmm. And we hit the same spot because my dog, dogs mark their territory, right? Creature of habit. And I'm like, if I can make this real quick, if I go right over this area here.
Okay. And
all of a sudden I hear some fireworks go off. I look at my watch as I'm, spinning the bag to put the little tie in it, and it's 12 o'clock, and I'm like, hey, Happy New Year. Just picked up some dog poop.
I picked up no poop on New Year's Eve. Department. Oh, well, what a lovely place to leave it. Bulls are off tomorrow
we've pretty much gone full circle.
I love it. But we will see y'all at the Madhouse for Derrick Rose night on Saturday. Again, doors open at 5. If you got a ticket, come find us in the atrium. We'll be there around 5:30. Yeah. Then we'll head up to the suite around 6 for the festivities. Again, 5 tickets left. If you decide that you want to be there in style. Follow Willie Goat, Will _Gottlieb, reading stuff, all CHGO.com. Uncle Will is at Will _Perdue 32. He's a 4-time champ. Big Dave, bow, BAWL Sports. I'm Bulls _Peck.
Hey, does Frenchie work at a casino?
What's that?
I believe so.
Frenchie works at a casino?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think I've heard that before. Yeah. Working roulette. Shout out to Queen of the Controls, one only Katie Dovey. Shout out to everybody who's hanging out with us today in the chat. EcoBeam, Maddie Legend, Fish, Colin, Amari,
what up?
All you fine people, Sepulveda, and French Bulls TV, of course. We will see some of you on Saturday. Can't wait. We will talk to all of you for pre and post on Saturday as well. See you, Rebby Kid.
He's smart. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.